Diana of Themyscira is the last Amazon to protect the world. Welcome to the Comicstorian Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. With the start of the Absolute Universe at DC Comics, the world is in a dire state. But thankfully, the last of the Amazons is here to protect them. But this time, as the Princess of Hell, this is Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 1 by Kelly Thompson. I hope you enjoy. Gateway City. The strange structure suddenly appeared over the beach, interrupting the sunny day and startling the beachgoers for miles. News cameras quickly began to cover the phenomenon as the upside-down pyramid simply hovered over the ocean. But suddenly, screeches could be heard. Small red creatures, lizards with wings, suddenly flew from the pyramid's crevices. The monsters swooped down on the population of Gateway City, causing the people to run in fear. Windows shattered and people ran in a bloody panic. One person falls, trying to cover their head as the monsters swoop on them. But suddenly, there is a crack of lightning across the blood-red sky, and the creatures scatter as a rider descends on a flying skeletal horse. The rider draws a massive sword and slices through the monsters. She leaps from her mount, landing in a heroic pose on the beach. Flayed monsters fall around her as she removes her helmet and reaches down to dip her fingers in their blood, smearing it across her face. She raises her hand, and an ancient spell escapes from her lips. The spell lashes out, stunning the monsters and dropping them to the ground. And through it all, a smile plays across her beautiful face. Long ago, on the wild Isle of Hell, the witch Circe continues her endless toil in the darkness. But suddenly, there is a sunshine upon her back. "Never thought I'd be happy to see the sun," she says with a sigh as she stands and turns. Apollo, god of the sun, slowly descends upon her. "Come forward, witch. You may kneel," he tells her. Circe frowns and shields her eyes. "I'm fine," she says with a shake of her head. He holds out a bundle in his hands, offering it to her. Circe looks at it in surprise and takes the baby girl. "This is a baby. Why have you brought a baby to hell?" she asks. Apollo has already begun to float away, the sun rising over the island. "The baby is Diana, Princess of Themyscira. She is the last of the Amazons and has been taken from them by my father, Zeus, as punishment for their crimes against the gods," Apollo declares. He tells Circe that Diana may never again see her people, and they have all been imprisoned. Apollo suddenly stops his ascent. "From here forth, the word Amazon is banned. So I decree," he bellows, his words springing forth like rays of the sun. He looks down at the witch and smiles. "Try it for me, Circe. Try to say the word. I want to see," he asks. Circe looks at the baby in her arms and whispers the word. But it comes out soundless, like it had never existed in the first place. Satisfied with his work, Apollo turns and continues his ascent, with Circe holding the baby in her arms. "This is hell. What if it dies?" she calls. Apollo doesn't bother to look over his shoulder. "The gods care not. This is where she belongs now, for however long she is," he calls before disappearing, casting the isle once more into twilight. Circe sighs and places the child on the rocks. Diana gurgles as Circe sits quietly and studies her. Suddenly, a glowing snake begins to make its way towards the child. Circe doesn't move. unsurprised that hell would take the child so quickly. The snake opens its mouth wide and prepares to strike, but the child is fast, and Diana reaches out and snaps the snake's mouth close. And she giggles as she flings it away. Cersei stares in surprise for a moment before smiling at the baby. And so, their lives continue in hell. At first, Cersei regards the child with little interest, helping her, but not caring for her. But time continues on, and the powerful sorceress begins to raise Diana, taking care of her, teaching her, growing to love her as her own. In this way, the two make a meager life on the Isle of Hell. The years pass, and both Diana and Cersei grow older, until the day finally comes. The present. The warrior Diana turns away from the pyramid. The beach is littered with the stunned bodies of the demon lizards. She stalks towards the National Guardsman. "Are you in charge here, soldier?" she asks. But the young man can do little more than stare at her with a gaping mouth and stumbling over his words. "You should evacuate all civilians within a mile," she tells him. She motions to the lizards on the beach. "They are but harbingers for what is to come," she warns him. Suddenly, the pyramid begins to shake and open from the bottom. Diana sighs and looks back. "We are out of time. Evacuate your civilians and bring your army," she says. She turns back as the pyramid seemingly uncurls and gives birth to a massive demon creature. The monster falls into the ocean and stalks towards the city. But Diana stands in its path, her blade at the ready. She glares up at the monster. "You are not welcome, Harbinger Prime. This world will defend itself. I stand before you with the mythical Athena blade, forged by Hephaestus himself. It is more than capable of sending you to your maker. This world is protected," Diana declares. The creature regards her for a moment before opening its mouth. Its words are like thunder, pushing Diana back. "But it is not," the beast declares. Suddenly, Diana's skeletal Pegasus swoops down, breathing fire on the monster. The monster turns from Diana, swatting away the pest. The warrior uses this moment to attack, but the monster turns back to her, beams of energy leaping from its eyes and bringing Diana to her knees. "Ugh, damn laser eyes, every time," she groans as she struggles to her feet. The beast stands tall, letting out a bellow for the smaller creatures to rise. The demon lizards awaken and attack once more, their wings and beaks slashing at Diana's skin. "Again you stand? We warned you!" the beast hisses. It fires again, the blast taking Diana off her feet and sending her bouncing along the beach. A short time ago, Diana sits with Cersei in their cave on the Isle of Hell. Sitting before the fire, the two sit in their chairs. Finally, Diana works up the courage to speak. "Mother, I want to ask you about this word," Diana says, motioning to her book. Cersei nods and smiles, closing her own tome. "I thought you might," she says softly. "It's important." "I'm afraid," Diana whispers. But Cersei shakes her head. She knows that her daughter fears little. "You're not afraid of the word. You're afraid of the change saying it will bring," Cersei says. She reaches a hand for Diana's cheek. "Say the word, Diana. Say it and know it is what you are," Cersei tells her. Diana pauses for a moment and nods. "Amazon," she whispers. And so, Cersei tells her daughter the truth. She tells her of the day that Apollo brought her to this damned island that became their home, brought Diana into her life, and how Cersei grew to love her, and that the god banned her from ever saying the word. They don't want me to know I'm an Amazon. They took me from them, and they tried to stop me from knowing what I was. Why? Diana questions. Cersei stands and takes Diana in her arms, explaining that the Amazons protected the world from darkness, and without them, the very world may end. Or perhaps you will say your name again and become what you were always meant to be, Cersei whispers. Tears begin to fall from Diana's eyes. Amazon! Diana calls. Now, on the beach, the warrior struggles to her feet, a look of determination on her face as she stares up at the massive monster that threatens the city. No, Diana whispers. She reaches into her pouch, pulling forth a lasso of magical power, its red fibers whirling around her as she stalks forward. The monster looks down at her once more. Away, warrior! You are beaten! Leave us, as we must prepare the way. This world is ours now, the monster says, motioning her away. But Diana shakes her head. No, she growls as she begins to float into the air, her eyes glowing as they cast the reflection of her weapon. For I am Diana of Themyscira, last of the Amazons, daughter of Cersei, princess of Hell, witch of the Wild Isle, and you will not have this world while I still draw breath. The world is in danger, but thankfully, Diana, the Princess of Hell, is here to protect them from the invaders. What did you guys think of the start to Absolute Wonder Woman? Let us know down below, and be sure to go check out Absolute Batman here on the channel, and subscribe to get notified when we also cover Absolute Superman and the rest of the Absolute DC in the future. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.